am here with Holly Krebsbach, and she is the Chamber of Commerce for North Metro Chamber, and she is the VP of Membership. So today I'm really excited because she's going to help us build our communities and how we can do that to help our businesses. So, Holly, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I have been with the MetroNorth Chamber of Commerce for 12 years. I am married and live with my husband in Hugo, Minnesota. We have two grandchildren. My husband has a manufacturing business. I've always been in business outreach. I was in advertising for a long time at Minnesota Monthly Magazine when the magazines were big. So I love what I do. I love what I do.
Wonderful, Holly. And you've been in your position here for quite some time. Can you tell us the secret to your success?
Well, I love what I do. And I was in corporate America for many years, like many have been. And people choose to make the change to entrepreneurship, nonprofits, or public service. And for many reasons. In my case, I went to a nonprofit. And if you're not familiar with the Chamber of Commerce, there's a U.S. chamber. States have their own chambers. The Minnesota Chamber of Commerce, we are very active with them. There's a regional chamber, which we cover all of Anoka County. And chambers can overlap with the cities they cover, but chamber folks, they play well in the sandbox, if you will. And chambers advocate for the entire business community and work with all different organizations in the community. I mean, why not partner? It's good for everybody. And selling the intangible is what a membership professional does.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about that. What is selling the intangible?
Okay, so it's not like selling a yacht or a Ferrari or a purse or shoes. The meaning of intangible is unable to be touched or grasped, not having a physical presence, goodwill, brand recognition, and intellectual property, such as patents, trademarks, and copyrights are all examples of intangible.
Gotcha. So tell me a little bit more about the intangible. How does someone go about that? Like what does that look like for business?
Well, I must say it's taken time to master the art of selling something that is intangible. It didn't happen overnight, that's for sure. It's a learning process. And in the beginning, all I could think about was getting a membership. But there's so much more that needs to take place in the conversation when you're meeting with a prospect or a business, which is why I love what I do. In my case, it's important to sell the mission. We all have bells and whistles, but if your prospect truly understands what their investment is, then they're more apt to support the organization and the mission in what you do.
Yeah, so let me stop you right here because I think all of the business owners on this are very interested in their mission. Can you tell me a little bit about what your mission is through the chamber?
Sure, Dr. Desiree, I'd be happy to. Earlier, I mentioned advocating for the entire business community. That's what we do. Our mission is to strengthen business and stimulate economic prosperity. Our vision, we are the bold, innovative voice for the entire business community. We are all about building business, building community, and building relationships. When selling the intangible, you need to inspire the person, not sell them. Truly, this is easier said than done. If a business has opened or the business owner has moved into the community, They've done the research on the criteria important to the business owner and their employees. Some of these include workforce, roads, schools, taxes, restaurants, shopping, chiropractic offices. When a business owner invests in the area, they are typically in it for the long haul.
Long haul. Yep.
Yep, very important. And this goes back to building business and building community and building relationships. And you need to communicate the outcome of what the organization does.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. So for the businesses that are within your chamber, I think you touched on looking for new prospects. And that's what every business owner needs to do, is keep that flow of new people coming into their business. Can you tell me a little bit about how prospecting, getting new clients, how that has changed over the years?
Oh, drastically, Dr. Desiree. Remember the movie Walk the Line, Johnny Cash, and it was played by Joaquin Phoenix, and he was going door to door with a sample of tiles or whatever was in his big briefcase. And I can't imagine doing that. Or a Kirby vacuum salesman coming to the door. That is really in the 50s and 60s. And then I mentioned in the beginning, in the late 80s and 90s, I sold advertising for a magazine before internet came out. No, I just dated myself. Truly, it was a hard sell, and prospecting was mainly done over the phone or cold calling, which we all don't like that word, cold calling.
Right.
Stopping into a business, leaving a business card. I certainly learned a lot over those years. And isn't that what life is? Lifelong learning. Right. I always say life is a journey, and we're all on one. We all have a story. And later I'll dive a little deeper into that.
Sure. Hey, let me ask you, how has prospecting changed since COVID?
Wow, who would have ever thought we would have experienced that? Certainly I didn't. And pre-COVID, everything was just humming along, and people were attending their networking groups and receiving referrals from people in their networks, attending meetings in person, conferences, professional development groups, church events, family referrals, friends, and meeting a prospect at their business or at a coffee shop. I've always said prospects are everywhere, and there are plenty to go around for everyone. Post-COVID, we all needed to take advantage of a tough situation and to remain relevant in uncertain times, come together as a community and help one another. Zoom certainly became popular and is still relevant today. And I think it's here to stay. It's convenient for many. Look at what we're doing today and what we'll be doing on Friday. It's perfect. Picking up the phone to have a conversation was crucial to keeping the lights on and the business moving as persons were not meeting in person. Thank God we're moving out of that.
Right. Yeah, that was a crazy few years. Let me ask you this, Holly, if you had one tip for someone who was new into sales or new into their business, what advice would you give them?
Follow up, and more follow up. I think it's so important to keep your pipeline full, whatever you're selling, whether it's a product or a service. Prospecting needs to be done every day, along with everything else that we do. And just because you don't get a yes, that doesn't mean a no. Of course, if they say never call me again, then you wouldn't.
Right. But we're all so busy as entrepreneurs.
Right.
It's nice to have that follow up. Like, oh, I totally forgot about that. That is such a key aspect. I think people think they're bugging people. No, it's just following up. That's huge.
And
And
people
what do
appreciate
you,
that.
if you are prospecting or looking for new clients or trying to tell people about your business, one, how do you stay relevant? How do you ask good questions? How do you get people interested?
You know, Dr. Desiree, this may seem so simple, but we all have experienced, whether we're at a networking group or a meeting, where somebody will just come up and start talking and giving us their laundry list of what's good for the product or service that they're selling without asking good questions. And asking good questions uncovers their objections, which is a whole nother topic for a different day.
Right.
And as we're all aware, there are keys to discovering which benefit most applies and directly ties to asking quality questions. Ask open-ended questions. Always start your questions with who, what, where, why, when, or how. When the exception is, do you need a receipt, or is a canceled check sufficient? Then you can stop talking. But I'll just give a few sample questions.
Yeah,
Who is your competition? Who are your suppliers? Who would you like to meet in the business community? What is your competition? Who are your suppliers? What prompted your corporate office to expand here? What are some of the local challenges you face? What sets you apart from your competition? When is your industry the busiest? When do you foresee your company's expansion? Where do you find the greatest percentage of customers? Where do most of your employees reside? How long have you been doing business in this area? And how would you describe this to someone outside your industry?
Yeah, those are great. It opens up a conversation, which I really
Exactly.
love. Yes, the connection piece. Now, let me ask you another question about connection. Do you feel connection, like actually connecting with your prospects, improves your business?
Absolutely improves your business. And, you know, truly people can tell when you're not being authentic. It's it's like the oldest trick in the book, and no one wants to be sold a bill of goods, so to speak. We are all just plodding along in life, trying to do the right thing. And there's so many people who are hurting and just need a kind word, even if you don't know them now more than ever. And for me, when I meet a prospect, whether in person or on the phone or Zoom, earlier I said, everyone has a story and they want to tell it. So I always open up with, tell me your story, share more about how you got into business, what's important to you. And truly, if the product or service that we are selling and it's a good fit, then it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I love that. Tell me your story. That's a great way to start a conversation. Hey, tell me your story. Everyone has a story about how they got into business or how they got into what they do. And let me ask you, real quick. I know that you are with the MetroNorth Chamber, and it has tons of benefits to be a member of the chamber that will help businesses. So can you just briefly touch on some of the membership benefits that you have being a member of the MetroNorth Chamber?
Absolutely, Dr. Desiree. We, as I mentioned, we cover all of Anoka County. We have 700 members. You do not have to have your business in Anoka County proper. We have members from all over. Marketing, there's a ton of marketing included in membership, and that they can post jobs on our website, their events on our website. They can use our conference rooms, say they don't have brick and mortar and they want to do like a lunch and learn or a bagel and learn. There's 3 different networking meetings. Oh my gosh, 3 different council meetings, one in Blaine, Coon Rapids, and Brooklyn Park. We're doing a pumpkins and putting event this afternoon. We've done a trap shoot, a golf event.
Oh, fun.
There's just so many, and I'm really proud of what we do for the entire business community.
Yeah, I love that. So we have, I know everybody's looking for employees now, so that would be a great way to post job openings. But I like the event aspect of it, making those connections. If you are a new business starting out and you maybe have a little more time versus money or a list, what would you recommend as far as going to these events or building your business based off something like that?
Oh, I highly recommend attending. I mean, if you're at least able to attend one meeting every month and be consistent, because then people they get to know you, they get to see your product, and chamber members love doing business with other chamber members.
Yeah. And I think that's huge. You mentioned the consistency aspect. It's kind of like the follow-up aspect. You have to be in front of people over and over. And the chamber seems like a great way to hit very similar groups. So you get those connections over and over and build those relationships.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's no shortage. What we have meetings in the morning, lunch, after hours. So we really try and accommodate everyone.
All different times, depending on what business you have. Let me ask you one last question, Holly. If you are talking to either a new business or a business that's been established for a while and they're maybe struggling a little bit with getting new clients, maybe not sure which direction to go with their business, what advice would you give for someone who's either just starting out or maybe having some struggling, either getting new clients, prospecting, or just feeling like the weight of their business landing on them? Any advice you would give our business owners?
Absolutely. And we are one vehicle. There's so many different networking groups for a business. And I highly recommend checking different ones out to see what's a good fit. We have members that are participate in more than one group, and that's fantastic. And the more you put yourself out there as a business owner, the more prospects you're able to meet, and referrals too. I mean, that's huge. If one person is not a right fit for this business, they might say, oh, you should talk to so and so. So it's just that keeping the connecting lines open, if you will.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, always go for the referral. Just because someone, if you're a realtor, just because I'm not buying a house right now, doesn't mean I don't know 5 people who may be looking. So I love that.
Absolutely.
That's why I
Absolutely.
like keep the lines open and follow through and consistency. Those are great messages, Holly. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And I think we do have some information if anyone wants to reach out to you specifically about becoming a member of the MetroNorth Chamber. And I believe we're going to list that as a resource in this summit. Anything else you would like to add?
Thank you kindly, Dr. Desiree. I really appreciate inviting me to participate in this. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Holly.